All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our August Zoom meeting. I'm Angelica Villagrana. I'm the president of the Guild. And with us today, we have a wonderful, multi-talented lady, Patricia Fisher. She's a coordinator and founder of San Diego Visual Arts Network. She is also an artist, a curator, a writer, management consultant, lecturer, gallerist, website advisor. The list goes on. And she's a longtime member of the Artist Guild, so thank you. And she will talk to us today about San Diego Visual Arts Network, which is pretty much the leading visual arts calendar for the San Diego region. So welcome, Patricia. Thank you. And with that, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much. I'm going to just share my screen to start my presentation. And thank you so much, Angelica, for not only inviting me, but for also summing up my career so quickly. I really appreciate that. That means I can go straight into describing what we're going to talk about today. The San Diego Visual Arts Network is an active resource. On our directory, we have more than 1,000 arts organizations, and that doesn't include the more than 1,500 artists that are listed on the site. We get about 1 million hits a year, and we have about 2,000 unique visitors a month. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through how to list as an artist on the site, and some of the aspects of what the site can do for you. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about events and the criteria that the San Diego Visual Arts Network uses to plan events that we do or that we have done in the past. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about advocacy issues, because I think that's so important, especially because the Guild is so well respected, and they can play an enormous part in, especially with the gravitas that so many of your members have, in pushing forward lots of improvements in the arts in San Diego. So as I go through these slides, I've tried to include a lot of visuals to keep you occupied and not too bored with my voice. If you have any questions, I guess you can put those questions into the chat box or the question box, and Angelica will maybe monitor that for us. I don't mind if, Angelica, if you want to interrupt and ask me questions along the way that are topical to what we're talking about. And I'm also glad to stay at the end and answer more questions.
Great, thank you.
Good. So, let's see. I think I've got to go now to my slides to forward it. I can't do it from here. So hold on just a second. Okay, so this is what the homepage of the San Diego Visual Arts Network looks like. It does not look like a modern website, which I honestly found a little confusing, all the scrolling and all those images that flash in back of other images and in back of text. So we've kept our website looking sort of like a newspaper. There's a right-hand column, a left-hand column, and a top menu bar. And just to acquaint you a little bit with how to navigate your way through this site, the top menu bar, I'll talk about the directories, the events, the resource login, smart collector, support, about, and frequently asked questions is all on every single page of the site. There's a calendar on this home page. Right underneath the calendar are our featured events. And those are the next 7 to 10 events that are coming up in the near future. This column on the right actually scrolls because you can only see about 2 or 3 events at the same time. But if you click featured events, you can see all the events that are the next 10 events that are coming up. On the other side, we can start off with a quick site link, which is at the top, and that takes you to the most visited parts of our website. And what I'll show you is where those quick site links are located on every other page of the site, because they are also included on every other page of the site. You can join our mailing list, but if you list as an artist, you're automatically joined to our mailing list as well. There's a link to our blogs, but also this is a very important part, the ongoing events. Clicking here gets you to all the events that are happening right now in San Diego. The calendar only shows you the opening date, but the ongoing events shows you everything that's going on. And that is connected to our app. So there are other things in the left-hand column that are all the things that are changed monthly on the site. So the raw column, the monthly message, resource focus, all the things that that we do that are once a month changes to the site. So that's just a quick rundown of what you see when you're on the home page. Now, if we go in a little bit farther, if you click on directory, this is what you'll see. So if you're an art, if you're listed as an artist, then people can find you according to your medium. You click on, anybody can click on multiple of these little dots and then do a submit, and up will come a listing of all the people that have, the artists that have listed on the site according to these mediums. There's also, as you can see right here, an alphabetical listing of artists. And so that's divided into the alphabet, and you can click on any letter on the alphabet and find the names of artists that way. So if we go now to the directory listing, this is for organizations, museums, all the different art resources. And as you can see, the San Diego Museum of Art Artists Guild is listed as an art association. It's also the resources that you find on our site are divided into public spaces, commercial art galleries, art promotion and management, art services and supplies, and art education. So it's really quite thoroughly divided up so that it aids people to find things. At this point, just take a look on the left-hand column here. If the page you're on at the top menu bar is highlighted, like directory is highlighted here with a background, then these top areas are all different things within the directory. The quick site links, which is the lower part of the left-hand column, are the same on every page. But if you switch to events, then this section right here will change to show you past events and all sorts of other information. So that's what our directory listing looks like. And this is where you would go not only to see an alphabetical listing of the resources, just like the artist, but also you can do a search if you're looking for one particular category here. I'm just put in this screenshot. This is what the San Diego Museum of Art Artists Guild listing looks like on the site. And you can see Angelica is listed as the contact and with her address, and you've got their space for the mission. There are, in the directory, we do not have images in our directory because that seemed like it would always have to be updated, and that was just too much to ask of the people, but that make listings on our site. But the events do require an image. That's very, very important. So once you list as an artist, then you can list your events, the shows that you're in our directory. And we really encourage you to, of course, do that. The next tab on the is our app. And I'm just giving you a quick version of what this looks like on your telephone. What it does is takes every event, ongoing event, not the upcoming events, but every ongoing event that is listed on our calendar and puts it into a Google map. And you can search by what's closest to you or by date or region, or you can just use your cursor and scan up and down the coast of California, and every event is shown by a little eyeball. And if you click on those eyeballs, up will come the details of the event. So we found that this is used by a lot of young people. They might be in a bar drinking and decide they want to see if there's any art events where they can get a free drink. And they click on this app, and then up pops all the shows that are showing up. In the whole region of San Diego, we cover from the north, Fallbrook, all the way down to and including Baja Norte in the south. Right now, of course, we are promoting the San Diego Art Prize. So to make your actual listing on the site, you go to Resource Login. This is the page that you'll see. Of course, these two things will be blank. If you already have a listing on the site, you put in your username and password, and then a screen comes up that allows you to edit your listing, add an event, or add an opportunity. If you don't have a listing on the site yet, then this is why I've put this first. Click Artist, click here to list your details in the artist directory. This is, you come to this page by clicking on Resource Login. The next thing you do is click Artist, click here. If you click all others, click here to sign up in the directory of resources, you'll get a form that you can't fill out because it's for resources, and you won't have the information that it requires, like your mission statement and and all those other things. So you want to make sure to just click Artist, click here to list your details. When you do that, it's a very simple form that will come up. You make your own username, you make your own password. We don't have a lot of restrictions on this. This is not like your bank account, we're not we're not worried. So don't use any old password that is valuable that connects to anything valuable. You can just choose anything you want. You can even make the username and the password the same thing if you want. You don't have to put in your middle name. If you don't have one or don't choose to, you put in your first name, your last name, your phone number, your email, and there's a place for you to put a gallery or your own website.
Not supposed to be open on Saturday.
The glass top is not.
Oh,
The gallery is.
Please, hello, excuse me, everybody mute yourself. We have background noise. I think it's Will. Will, mute yourself.
Then they put it in the basket of the
Yeah,
store, so I don't know where that is. I'll go look.
Excuse me, Will, please mute yourself. Hello, hello, please mute yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
right.
All right. Good.
And we can go on. Sorry, it's always somebody who doesn't get the message.
Lots of cameras.
Yeah. Yeah. Please
every-
do me. We can see a few names that aren't muted. Elaine isn't muted. I mean, I think there's a few more of you. If you could just take a look at your name and make sure that the little mute sign is up. Okay, the next tab is Smart Collector, and this is a whole book of information because, of course, San Diego Visual Arts Network is trying to encourage people to buy your art. And so we put together a whole book of information about collecting art. The one that I want to point out to you is Collecting Insights for Artists. And you'll see at the bottom, there's a drop down. I put in a little screenshot also of what happens when you click on that drop down. You get online networking advice, social media guide, spam, spoof, and con advice, a bibliography for marketing, a guide for corporate collecting, competition websites, polishing your professionalism, art marketing supplies, website perfection, to book or not to book, web heaven, which is advice about, for those of you that don't have a website, networking tips, and press release instructions. So there's a lot of information for artists about dealing with collectors and being professional about your collecting. This is not an entire book. These are just collected articles that we've commissioned or written in-house. I wrote a book on marketing for artists, and that was an entire book in itself. And it was a college course that I lectured for many years. So we're not actually giving you that much information, but this is a very good resource to have nevertheless for artists. And if you're interested in some of the other categories, it's also, each one is a very large list of articles that have been collected about the business basics, the marketplace, where to go to find art. That could be interesting for you to look at. Meet the Collector is interviews with many collectors about why they collect, and lots of other publishing articles like 10 tips to collecting art. And then the published Collector is also like a bibliography of all the books that are written about collecting art. So the Smart Collector is a very interesting section of the website. The support section, I haven't got screenshots of that, but it lists every single person that is donated to San Diego Visual Arts Network in the last 19 years, and it is an enormous list of people. If you want your name and a link to your website in this list, then you have to give a minimum of $25 as a donation to be in the permanent support list. There's also a yearly list, and we list everybody. Even if you only give $5, your name goes on a yearly list that's in that section. The About section, again, gives basic information about us, and the frequently asked question tab is very important, because everything I've said here is listed as advice for artists on how to list on SDVAN. So anything you can't remember that I've said or you don't look at from the recorded, you can go to this frequently asked question tab, go to the left and click on artist listing, and it will take you through the whole process of how to list on the site. So that completes my how to list on San Diego Visual Arts Network and what to look at when you see the site and want to maneuver around the site. It is very large. There's a lot of archive material. Our raw column, it goes out once a month in our monthly message, and it includes everything that comes across my desk that I think is interesting. So it's as if I'm chatting with friends and telling them what I found out about the art world in the last month. And you can look at archive copies of that. And of course, our next one will be going out a week from Tuesday. The first Tuesday of the month, the second Tuesday of the month has a special e-blast that just mainly lists opportunities for artists. And so when you get on the mailing list, you'll get 2 emails now a month. We used to do 1, but with the pandemic, we thought it was important to up our email blast. We don't like to bombard you with emails, however, but each email is packed with information. Okay, I'm going to take a breath and move on to the other part, a big part of San Diego Visual Arts Network, which is the events that we put on over the last 15, 20 years. These include some probably that you've heard of, besides the San Diego Art Prize and the New Contemporary Show. We did the DNA of Creativity, which was at the Oceanside Museum of Art, which was 10 teams of artists, and put together with, 5 teams of artists put together with scientists who created a wonderful exhibition talking about the nature of creativity. Our Movers and Shakers show was 2 sessions, and there 40 artists each were invited in both shows to do portraits of movers and shakers in San Diego, and a lot of those people are still around. The Art Meets Fashion was a connection between fashion designers and artists, and that show was held at the baggage claim of the San Diego airport and also at the NTC. Little and Large, it was an exhibition where we invited sculptors to make jewelry and jewelers to make sculptures and show both. We put out a call thinking that we would be able to put together a show and find a venue for that. But the call generated 140 artists, and we showed in, I think, about 35 spaces throughout the county. So it was a huge, huge exhibition. And all of these shows in detail, all of them have catalogs. You can go to the events section, click on the event, any of these events, and you can explore the catalogs. So I think it's just important for us all to get a little bit more education about events, because I know that the Museum Guild puts on artist events all the time. You do exhibitions, you do juried shows. And I just wanted to share some of the criteria that we use. We call it MERC. I had this idea that maybe Mercedes-Benz would someday come and be a sponsor. And if we called it MERC, maybe that would encourage them to give us some money. Hasn't happened yet, but anyway. MERC stands for Mentoring, Education, Recognition, and Collaboration, because when we choose an event to put on, we like to make sure that it has all those components to give us as wide of spread of involvement in the event as we can. We don't want to be artists just showing to other artists. In other words, we want to make sure that our events are going to draw an audience and fulfill a number of goals. So mentoring, very, very important. We always try to have a mentoring aspect to every event. It might be that that somebody will come to us with an idea, and then we can mentor them to help them produce the idea that they come to us with. We also try to have an educational component. Most of our exhibitions have lesson plans that we've asked the teacher on the team to come up with that helps to involve students in the exhibition, so that lesson plans are there. And they're also archived on the site. This is so important because we obviously have to have younger students come in to see our shows to make sure that we have the innovation there that's going to sustain us in the future. We talked a little bit about that earlier on. We always have to think with every event that we put on, what can we learn and what can we pass on? And so mentoring and education are very, very important aspects, and we work hard to keep those top in our mind when we're planning events and thinking about events and deciding, is this going to be worthwhile to do? Collaboration, of course, it's a no-brainer, but when you get 148 artists involved, just like when you had your show with 2,000 applicants, Angelica told me, for your last show, you are tapping into such a wonderful wide audience, and you need to take advantage of that. You need to capture all those names. You need to put them on your mailing list. You need to use those collaborations to help you to move forward at all times. you know, it's those collaborations, those personal connections that you make with other organizations. I know you've got a relationship with Gallery 21 and the museum and with Front Porch. Every time you have a juror that comes to juror your exhibitions, that's really important. It makes for social networking. It makes for building pride. It makes for problem solving. It sparks creativity. All those the collaborations are so important. And recognition is also extremely important. You know, you should really have a show of Angelica's work at some point. She put her heart and soul into your organization for many, many years. And you have to recognize the people that are the mainstay of your organization. You also can use recognition by inviting prestigious people to come to openings, by getting declarations from the city that this is a prominent event that has happened, or a prominent organization. You'll get a certificate from the city or the county to recognize you, and that's always important. Recognition, of course, also comes in PR. So it's really important that you're doing all the press necessary to promote your events. When you choose an event, you have to think, what does this event do for the artist? You know, that's probably your main goal, is your artist. Creating new venues and then creating new audiences for their work, boosting your career. Even if you're not putting money in their hands in terms of sales, you're validating them as artists, you're connecting them to patrons. This event gives you a wonderful opportunity to challenge your artist. I know I, for one, really like to be invited to contribute art with a theme. I find that very stimulating. Not all artists do, and not all artists want to do that, but I personally like the challenge of doing that. And in fact, my latest artwork myself is a record, a vinyl record that I used as a substrate for work for Artreach for their auction recently. And it's turned into a whole series. I now have a whole series, and it's soon to be shown in November at the Cardiff Library. So I like that starting point. Sometimes it springs me forward into all sorts of other creative outlets. I also think that the types of shows we decide to put on should break down the definitions of art and what's included and what's not included in the term visual art. So I always like to break those boundaries and be as wide as possible when we think about this. I'm going to put in a plug right now for the San Diego Art Prize. It's happening September 17th to January 7th. And this year it's in the Central Library at the very top of the building, that gorgeous new library downtown. It's a fabulous gallery. If you haven't been to that gallery yet, please do go and see it. It's a wonderful space, and there's vistas of the city from outside on the balcony. We're also included in booth 517 at Art San Diego, and that's September 9th to the 11th. I have free tickets for anybody that wants to contact me. My email will be at the end of the slides, but Angelica, if you would like me to send you a link to that to pass on to your members, I'm more than happy to do that. They like to see as many people as possible.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, good. Now, what should your event do? For
she's like giving a lecture, so you're gonna not like this.
Rosemary, can you mute yourself, please?
I said you're
Rosemary, mute yourself, please. Oh well. So what is your event supposed to do for the community? We put on a series called Eat Your Art Out, where we invited collectors to sit down and have dinner with groups of artists. Very intimate. Some of them were very intimate. I mean, the tables are never more than 10 people, 12 maybe at the most. This was a wonderful way to actually have contact with collectors. And the most amazing thing that I found out about collectors when I gave a series of roundtables for COVA was that the collectors are actually quite envious of artists. They really think that they're marvelous. They love their lifestyle, the freedom that they have in their life, and they admire their imagination, their innovation, and their creativity. So these events have always been very, very popular. It gives a way for people to relate more directly to artists. Again, it's an expansion of their concept of what art is. In a lot of these events, we made sure that there was a participation part of the evening. I remember one, there was all sorts of food safe art supplies, and they actually drew on their dessert plates with candies and icings, and it's always just great fun to do these events. We had a very large event called Palette to Palette, which celebrated our 10th anniversary, which is a big sold out event, and it was absolutely marvelous. You can see here this umbrella. You might wonder what's going on there. Those are dark and white chocolate covered dried orange slices. And the woman here, Karen Vaughn, has a little pair of scissors. They're strung with dental floss, and she handed the scissors to the person who wanted to have this delight, and they cut off a slice, and that's the way they were able to eat the dessert. It was just great fun to see people walking around with these umbrellas at the end of the event. Now, what does an event give to the actual organization? So what does it give to us? Or for example, what should it give to the San Diego Museum of Art Artists Guild? It should make sure that you get a wider exposure. With each event, you should have wider and wider exposure. Collaboration with a new set of volunteers, with artists, with galleries, with museums, with writers and patrons. I mean, I would really love to see more and more young people involved in the art, writing about the art and being published about what they think about the art. Of course, we want to get more members, more subscribers, more clients. You've got your donations, your fees, commissions on special arts, and this will generate support for future projects as well. So when you, I don't know if the Artists Guild has ever applied for a grant to put on their projects, but all of your past events would go into that grant to give you some validity in the community. Certainly, we've striven very hard at San Diego Visual Arts Network to be taken seriously and to establish that validity for our project. So, having a hard time seeing what the, okay. We want to make sure that we are innovative. We want to make sure that we're coming up with new and fresh ideas. So really, how do you generate those ideas? You have to keep your eyes open. You have to research all the time. And now, of course, it's so easy to go online and to look at all the different exhibitions that are being put on all over the world. The Little and Large exhibition was motivated by the downturn in the economy. I thought that the jewelers would also like an opportunity to make larger works, but mainly it was the sculptors that were not selling their works during the 2008 downturn. And so we invited them to make smaller jewelry works in hopes that that would give them a new market. when and I go back and forth between flat I still own in London, and every time I go to London, I get inspired. Absolutely, by going to all the major museums there and seeing what sort of exhibitions they're putting on. And now, of course, I'm on all their mailing lists, and I get emails from all over the world showing me exhibitions that are going on. And I find that very stimulating for new ideas. You need to identify your audience for any particular idea, who your patrons are, what the local public is. Does it have pertinence to tourists that are coming as well? And then you need to make the theme to the artist to the venue. I think that's very important too. So when you're thinking about how to do events, how do you make sure that the whole package makes sense together? And there are so many venues in San Diego. There's actually over 100 art associations. I think there's even 20 that are called guilds. And I didn't see that in anywhere else in the world besides San Diego. It's huge, the number of art associations. And then you've got all these art colleges that have galleries that are always looking for exhibitions. You just need to submit your ideas and then go forward and let them see what you're doing.
Patricia, this is Angelica. Before we move on, at some point, could you show a listing of one artist listing? That's what Steve just asked about, like an example. What an artist, yeah.
Artist listing. I'll do that when I'm finished. I'm almost finished now. If you'll let me share my screen.
Sure,
on
no
the
problem.
actual site. Okay. So another thing that I think is so important, especially with the generation of artists that are currently here at this lecture, we did a project called Hats Off to Life. And we went into an assisted living facility with a set of artists who were able to make hats. And we got volunteers from the community to tell us their stories. And then the artist went and they made a special hat for each of the participants. And the hat, as you can see, it was fanciful, should I say. Many of them were extraordinary. The culmination of this is that we had a professional makeup artist come in and make up all of the residents. We had a team of professional photographers come in and photograph them. They had a little runway show within the community, and all of the images were printed and put on exhibit, not only in the facility, but also at a few other venues around San Diego, because the results were just so adorable and wonderful. And that's the sort of project, nobody's ever done that before, right? So that's the sort of innovation that we're always looking for and looking to help to promote. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is advocacy issues. It's been a fabulous year for the arts in San Diego. We have, I've been working on some of these projects for 8 years. The new San Diego County Office of Arts and Culture has now been officially established. They haven't announced the director of that office yet, but there is an application for commissioners, and there will be, I believe, 3 commissioners from each of the 5 districts in the county, plus a special youth commissioner, I think 2 youth commissioners as well. And we should be looking to them for funding, especially funding as it comes down from the California Arts Council. We had this Office of Arts and Culture about 25 years ago for a while, and then it shut down. And we're the only county in California that did not have an Office of Arts and Culture until just this last year, where we finally got it passed. And it's on the books and it's in the budget. So I can't tell you how happy I am to be able to announce that. The San Diego Visual Arts Network every year supports with an art business scholarship. One young person who's given a free booth at the Mission Federal Art Walk, but they're also given a whole education about the business of art and how to become more professional. At the Encinitas Friends of the Arts, another 8-year project, we finally got $7 million funding for a new art center at the old school at Pacific View. And we're in talks now, advising talks about the programming that will go on in that brand new art center. It will be open in 2024. And I've just been brainstorming class ideas, trying to make them as unusual and unique as possible. We don't need another watercolor class, another acrylic class. They're being taken care of already quite sufficiently. But it would be nice to have maybe a class on how to make cosplay costumes, or how to prepare a portfolio for getting into art college, or any number of other ideas that we can generate that are unusual. How to write about art and get it published. You know, there are many, many ideas that we're circulating to try to make this new art center unique, individual, and state of the arts. I believe there are plans also to have an art, a lab with all the latest technical equipment for making art, 3D printers, etc., you know, laser cutters, all that sort of stuff as well. We help to advise Art Bus Express on making their tours go virtual during the pandemic. I told you already, we have also our own virtual tab on the website that archives any virtual exhibition, and it can be accessed at any time. Our sister organization is Synergy Arts Foundation. They raised over $70,000 for artists in need during the pandemic and distributed that money. And that's an ongoing project of theirs. We work very closely with Synergy Arts Foundation because we think that that's such an important thing for artists that are really in financial trouble. They also are working hard right now to try to help the affordable housing issues with artists that don't have a space to live or to make their work. I helped to found the North County Arts Network, and I think that's an umbrella organization that was very instrumental in helping us move toward the San Diego County Office of Arts and Culture. North County has no representation in the tourist industry, and so they banded together. We all banded together, all the organizations in North County. We're now trying to support a similar thing to happen in South County, because it's when groups of organizations come together that they gain power, and we like to leverage that power in all sorts of ways. Once you get a large enough group of people together, you can do that. So the confab group that was set up to push forward for a San Diego County Office of Arts and Culture was not made up of anybody in the city, except for the head of the Commission for Arts and Culture, because the city is pretty well served already, but the whole rest of the county and its diversity of people is not well served. And so the new county office, their main remit is going to be to serve the rest of the county. We support Compassionate Arts San Diego. It's art for mental health, especially for children, and an ongoing project of ours, which is was part of the DNA of creativity is Sea Changes Act, which is all about climate change and climate control. So I think when you put together a large organization like yours, there's a responsibility to do advocacy for issues. And doing those advocacy issues also, it's not that we come out in favor of any political candidates. We stay far away from politics, but we do consistently advocate for the arts to get the recognition that it deserves, especially in these times where the arts have been harder hit than any other sector that we know of. So I did it. I've talked enough.
And
I'm going to now stop sharing and very quickly try to share my screen. Let's see. Okay, so right now we're promoting Leucadia Art Walk. You can now hopefully see the scrolling feature. Just
right.
here's the lecture today, and here are the other events. Here's all of those featured events on one page. If we go back to the home page, and there's also lots of ways to do that. These are all the ongoing events. They populate. It's so important to have these images, I think. And you click on them and you get you can click on them and get all the details. Now, so in our directory listing, if you find an artist, all right, let's go to an alphabetical list. You can see all the artists are listed here alphabetically, and it gives the information that is needed. You go by letter and you see, if you want, you don't have to put your phone number, but if you want your phone number, here's your email address, and here's your link to your website, and here's your gallery. And you know, there's 1,500 of these, so there's a lot of these. And it's one question that no one's asked, but why list on some place like San Diego Visual Arts Network? The big reason is because we have such a predominant presence on the internet. When if somebody types in your name, and they might not be able to find you on the search engine, what will come up probably first is your link on San Diego Visual Arts Network, because this is how the internet works. The sites that get the most hits are the ones that come up first on the internet search. So by listing with us, when somebody puts in your name or puts in an artist, if you put in San Diego artist, our website will come up first, and then people will be able to find you from there. And that's the one big reason why it's so important for the site to be active and be changing all the time. I'm just going to go through another thing here. On the left-hand side, here is the San Diego Art Prize details. Here is an art blog that I write every month. Here is our monthly message. Here is our Pick Draw Gossip column. And here is our special art resource focus. And then finally, the raw column is there. Oh, I'm sorry. The Pick Draw Peeled is reports on local events, local events. So if we go there, and you can click on any of these, you can see in January, February, these are the reports that were generated about art events, and we're always looking for writers to write those reports. In July, we covered Marianella de la Hoya at the Timken, a gallery at Stevenson's Gallery, a Quint show, a new gallery in Solana Beach called Oolong, and the park social events. And you can, if you look back, I mean, you can click on all of these things and see reports on all these different shows. And that's just for this year. You can also go back and go into the archive of all those for all those other years. It's all documented here. Every single year has been documented for all of our reports, all of our messages, and all of our raw columns. Just to give you an idea of what's in the raw column, last, we headed off with this controversy about the artwork that was shown at the California Center for the Arts in Escondida. There's a list of our writings, and then all of this information about all sorts of different things that are happening to keep you up to date about what's going on in the visual arts world, and then a list of all the opportunities. Right, and again, it's archived. So it's quite a complete resource and an archived resource, which I think is very important for the future too. Can we open it up to some questions now?
Yeah, Patricia, this is Angelica. I have one question. I mean, this is an amazing project you put together. I don't even know if you have time for anything else. How do you fund it, and how many volunteers do you have working with you?
So I'm going to just stop sharing. We welcome, especially right now, people to come forward to write for the site. That's our current call. Is we love, and we don't mind if people don't have writing experience. We like a personal voice, somebody that goes to an exhibition and has a personal view. We help edit the articles if necessary and proof them. So anybody that goes to a show and is willing to photograph a few things and write up about it, we're always glad to post those. We like people to sign up to do at least a couple of months of that. We don't like to do one-offs, but we like to, really cultivate that relationship and have somebody sign up to report on shows, 3 or 4 at least. And it could be spread out over a year if they wanted, but to make a commitment to do that. Our funding all comes from volunteer donations and from private foundations. We have had a few county grants for larger projects, but we just did a GoFundMe to fund the free catalog that's printed for the San Diego Art Prize. We raised some money that way. We got two private grants for that as well, one from the Central Library Foundation, and they're also hosting the VIP event and funding that. And a recent grant also from the Commission for Arts and Culture, which was very nice. We don't make as big an effort as you would think. Right? We don't have a lot of overhead expenses. The site was created many, many years ago. If it's not broke, don't fix it, is what I've been told. So we just keep chugging along with the same site. We have no overhead as a charity and one of the first nonprofits. We don't have any charges for our space. We have no bricks and mortar, so we have no overhead. We have no salaries. Everybody is it's 100% volunteer organization. And one of the ways we make that happen is we only ask for volunteers for particular projects. Those projects have a start, a middle, and an end, and then the people are done. So we don't burn out people. And we have a very, very small board, a skeleton board that is there to just monitor our finances and make sure taxes are paid correctly, well, we don't pay taxes, but we still have to submit all the paperwork. So we're really a lean, mean organization in terms of how much funding we actually need. So unless we have a special project that we need to fund, we don't seek funding until we have that project in line and know exactly how much money we're going to need to pull it off. And we have several private foundations that have been very kind, that when they hear about something that excites them, they say, oh yes, we'll give you money. And I say, thank you very much. So other volunteer opportunities, at the art fair, there might be some volunteer booth to be at the Art San Diego Fair. A lot of times, because of the collaborations we've made, we'll turn a project over to somebody else and let them arrange for their volunteers to take over. So, you know, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I've been doing this in San Diego for 20 years, and I'm passing on, you know, all this legacy to other people that want to carry it forward at this time. I would actually love to see the new Office of Arts and Culture, the county office, take over the website. I'd be happy to let them do that, right? They'd have to merge it together with a performing arts resource list. But, you know, certain things, they only should last for so long. So unless people have projects that they really want to do, we are happy to simply be there as the collaborator, the funder, and the promoter of anything that's interesting that's going on in the visual arts.
Well, you gave us some really great ideas, Patricia. We're running, it's been an hour and we're running a little late with the rest of our program. But, you know, I think if people have questions, they can email them to me and then I'll forward them on to you. How's that?
That sounds great. And if anybody needs help listing on the site, the information will be there through Angelica as well.
Right.
Do you mind very much if I stay to watch
no.
the presentation?
No, you are very welcome. What we will do now, we will invite our artists, our attendees, to show one of their artworks. And as I said, we have to move a little fast this time. Let's start with Jody. Jody Apsey, are you there? And unmute yourself when you start talking. Jody, are you there? I guess not. I will, oh, there she is. Jody, can you unmute yourself? Unmute, Jody. Jody, you're on mute. Unmute yourself.